There comes a moment in every life when the mirror stops lying. A moment when you can no longer blame your parents, your past, your boss, your country, your luck, your circumstances. A moment when the noise fades and the truth stands in front of you like a silent judge. The truth that whispers, you could have done more. You could have been more. You could have built more. Most people run from that moment. They drown it in distraction. They bury it in comfort. They sedate it with entertainment, gossip, scrolling, complaining, and endless justification. They say, it's not the right time. They say, I don't have the resources. They say, people like me don't succeed. Excuses are the most seductive form of self-destruction. They feel intelligent. They feel reasonable. They feel safe. But they are chains. And empires are not built by people who negotiate with chains. Look at the giants of history. When Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before perfecting the light bulb, he did not consult his excuses. When Andrew Carnegie rose from a poor immigrant boy to a steel titan, he did not wait for permission. When Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination, he did not surrender his vision. When Abraham Lincoln lost election after election, he did not bow to humiliation. When Henry Ford was mocked for attempting to build an automobile for the common man, he did not retreat to comfort. They burned their excuses, and in the ashes, they laid the first brick of their empire. An empire is not merely money. It is not a title. It is not applause. An empire is a state of command over your own mind. It is the discipline to think deliberately. It is the courage to act decisively. It is the audacity to believe that your vision deserves to exist in the physical world. Your empire begins in thought. Napoleon Hill taught that thoughts are things. But most people treat their thoughts like passing clouds, random and powerless. They allow fear to sit at the head of the table in their mind. They let doubt dictate strategy. They allow comparison to poison ambition. If you want to build an empire, you must first seize control of your mental kingdom. You must understand that your mind is fertile soil. Every repeated thought is a seed. Every belief is a root. Every action is a branch. And every result is fruit. If you plant excuses, you harvest mediocrity. If you plant certainty, you harvest power. The world does not respond to what you wish. It responds to what you expect. If you expect rejection, you hesitate. If you expect failure, you sabotage. If you expect greatness, you prepare. Belief is not a soft concept. It is not spiritual decoration. Belief is strategy. Belief shapes perception. Perception shapes decisions. Decisions shape destiny. When you truly believe that your success is inevitable, you move differently. You speak differently. You choose differently. You endure differently. The person who believes they are building an empire wakes up before the alarm. They study when others scroll. They invest when others consume. They build when others blame. Clarity is the blueprint of power. Most people are not failing because they lack talent. They are failing because they lack direction. They want success but cannot define it. They crave wealth but have no vision of its purpose. They desire freedom but are enslaved by distraction. An empire cannot be built on vague desire. It requires a definite chief aim. What do you want? Not what sounds impressive. Not what would make others applaud. What do you want so deeply that you would endure embarrassment for it? Sacrifice sleep for it? Risk comfort for it? Write it in your mind with fire. See it in detail. Feel it as if it already breathes. Visualization is not fantasy. It is rehearsal. Every great architect sees the structure before the foundation is poured. Every master strategist imagines victory before the first move is made. Every world changer lives in the future long before the world catches up. When Walt Disney walked through an empty field and described Disneyland as if it already existed, people laughed. But he was not describing imagination. He was describing certainty. If you cannot see your empire, you cannot build it. Close your eyes and see the office, the company, the platform, the movement. See the impact. See the faces of those you help. See the numbers. See the growth. See the transformation. Then open your eyes and act like the person who owns that vision. Because here is the brutal truth. Your life right now is a reflection of the standards you have tolerated. You say you want more, but you tolerate less. You tolerate late mornings. You tolerate weak effort. You tolerate toxic habits. You tolerate negative voices. You tolerate procrastination disguised as planning. Empires are built by raising standards. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect in action. When you wake up early, you are declaring war on mediocrity. When you train your body, you are reinforcing mental resilience. When you read instead of scroll, you are sharpening your competitive edge. When you keep your word to yourself, you are forging integrity. Discipline builds confidence. Confidence builds momentum. Momentum builds results. And results silence doubt. There will be days when your motivation evaporates. Days when progress feels invisible. Days when rejection cuts deep. Days when the weight of responsibility feels unbearable. This is where most people negotiate with their excuses. But this is also where empires are forged. Resilience is not loud. It is quiet persistence. It is continuing when no one is watching. It is refining when no one is applauding. It is standing up again when humiliation burns. Remember Abraham Lincoln. Defeat after defeat. Loss after loss. Yet he did not define himself by temporary failure. He defined himself by permanent purpose. Failure is not a verdict. It is feedback. Every setback carries instruction. Every mistake hides wisdom. Every loss exposes weakness that can be strengthened. The question is not whether you will face adversity. The question is whether you will interpret adversity as a stop sign or a stepping stone. Burn the excuse that says, "It's too hard." Hard is the price of admission. Burn the excuse that says, "I'm not ready." Readiness is born in action. Burn the excuse that says, "What if I fail?" Failure is tuition that if you want to build an empire, you must become a student of growth. You must feed your mind with ideas that expand you. You must surround yourself, physically or digitally, with voices that challenge you. You must learn from those who have walked the path. When Andrew Carnegie surrounded himself with masterminds, he understood a principle that remains undefeated. No empire is built alone. Association shapes ambition. If you sit with small thinkers, your dreams shrink. If you sit with visionaries, your standards rise. Seek out mentors, books, biographies, conversations that stretch your mind beyond its current ceiling because you cannot outperform your identity. If deep down you see yourself as average, your actions will reflect it. If deep down you see yourself as a builder, a leader, a creator, you will begin to align with that image. Identity drives behavior. Change your self-concept, and your habits will follow. Stop introducing yourself to the world as who you have been. Start introducing yourself to yourself as who you are becoming. Say it internally. I am disciplined. I am strategic. I am resilient. I am building something extraordinary. Repetition builds belief. Belief builds reality. Gratitude, too, is power. Not passive gratitude. Not complacent gratitude, but fierce gratitude that fuels momentum. When you are grateful for your current resources, you maximize them. When you appreciate your present skills, you sharpen them. When you value your time, you protect it. Scarcity thinking breeds fear. Gratitude breeds confidence. Confidence attracts opportunity. And opportunity rewards preparation. There is no empire without action. Ideas are seeds, but action is the shovel. Plan, yes. Strategize, yes. Visualize, yes. But then move. Send the proposal. Launch the project. Make the call. Start the channel. Write the book. Build the product. Apply for the position. Invest in the skill. Movement creates clarity. You will not feel fully certain. You will not have perfect conditions. You will not eliminate risk. But you can eliminate excuses. Every day you delay is a brick unlaid. Every hour wasted is momentum surrendered. Time is the only currency you can never replenish. Spend it like an emperor. And as you build, remember this. Your empire is not only external. It is internal sovereignty. It is waking up without self-contempt. It is standing firm in your values. It is refusing to betray your potential for comfort. It is choosing growth over gossip, courage over convenience, discipline over dopamine. When the world tempts you to shrink, expand. When it tempts you to settle, strive. When it tempts you to doubt, declare. Declare that your life will not be a monument to excuses. Declare that your mind will not be rented to fear. Declare that your future will not be negotiated with laziness. Burn the excuses. Burn them until there is nothing left but resolve. And from that fire, lay your foundation. Brick by brick. Habit by habit. Decision by decision. Because empires are not built in a day. They are built daily. And one day, when you look back at the person you used to be, the one who hesitated, who doubted, who almost gave up, you will feel gratitude for the moment you chose to stop explaining and start executing, the moment you chose to stop blaming and start building, the moment you chose to burn the excuses and build the empire.